To make the teardrop lariat necklace, you need a Swarovski crystal teardrop. This bead is 8 millimeters by 9 millimeters and has a gorgeous AB finish. You'll also need a crystal bicone bead. It's 3 millimeters. You need a gold round bead, also 3 millimeters. Then you need a gold circle, and this gold circle is this beautiful brushed metal, like a brushed gold finish. And it's sort of wider at one end than the other. It looks like it was flattened, like hand hammered. Love this little gold circle. It's 13 millimeters in diameter. Then you need 20 inches of gold loop chain and 24 gauge gold wire. For tools, you need round nose pliers and wire cutters. The first thing we want to do is cut a piece of wire about 2 to 3 inches long. And I'm going to use this piece of wire to attach this ring to our chain. And to do that, I'm going to make a wrapped loop. So to make a wrapped loop, I'm grasping the wire with my round nose pliers, and I'm going to bend the wire toward me 90 degrees. I'm going to reposition the pliers so it's at the top of that little 90-degree bend. I'm going to wrap the wire around the top jaw of my pliers, and then I'm going to reposition the pliers so that the bottom jaw is in that loop, and I'm going to pull the wire around. So now I've got a complete loop, but I haven't closed that loop yet. You see that? So what I'm going to do is slide my ring, or my circle here, down into that little loop that I made, and you might need to wiggle it a little bit to get it in there. There we go. And now I'm going to close this loop, and to do that I'm going to take my round nose pliers and I'm just going to grasp straight across that loop that I made, and I'm going to pull the tail, that's the little shorter wire, around the neck, which is this longer wire, 2 times. So that's 1, and that's 2, like that. And then I'm going to take my wire cutters and I'm just going to trim the wire as close to my work as I can without actually cutting my neck here. So trim that, and I've got a little bit of a tail sticking out there, so I'm going to use my round nose pliers to just tuck that down in there. It's a little bit of a cheat, but it's fine. There we go. So now I'm going to feed on my crystal bead. This is just our tiny bicone crystal. And I'm going to make a wrapped loop that connects into this last loop of my chain. So to do that, this is essentially the same thing I just did. I'm going to grasp the wire right above that bicone bead, make a 90-degree bend, reposition the pliers to the top of that bend, pull the wire around the top jaw, reposition the pliers to the bottom jaw, and pull the loop around, or pull the wire around to finish my loop. But instead of wrapping this loop, I'm going to take my chain and I'm going to feed it on that last link of my chain onto the neck of that wire, and then I'm going to pull it down into that little loop that we made there, like that. And now I'm going to wrap the loop just like I did before. I'm going to grasp the loop across with my round nose pliers, and I'm going to pull the neck around 2 times, or the tail, I'm sorry, I'm going to pull the tail around 2 times, like that. And then I'm going to trim my wire. And now I've got my ring, or my little circle connected to my chain with a beautiful crystal, and I'm ready to do the bead on the other end. So to do that, this instruction is a little bit different. I'm going to find the end of my wire. I'm going to cut another 3-inch length here, like that. And instead of making a wrapped loop right away, I'm going to feed the wire through the hole in my bead. This particular teardrop bead has a hole drilled through this way. So I'm going to feed it through that hole. And then I'm going to bend this wire up and over the top of the bead and have it crisscross a little bit like that. You see there's a little crisscross. I'm going to bend one of the crisscrosses 90 degrees, and I'm going to use my round nose pliers to hold on to this a little bit here. And I'm going to pull the wire around 2 times, kind of like we did with the wrapped loop, same idea, like that. And then I'm going to trim. So now I've got my teardrop bead on my wire, and I'm going to grab my gold bead that I lost here, there it is, feed that onto my wire, like that, and I'm going to make another wrapped loop, same way, bend the wire 90 degrees, reposition the pliers to the top, pull it around the top jaw, reposition to the bottom jaw, finish the loop, and then before I wrap this loop, I'm going to take the last link of my chain and feed the wire up through that last link, pull it down into that little loop that I made, and then I'm going to wrap this loop. So I'm grasping across the loop with my round nose pliers, and then I'm going to pull the wire around the neck 2 times, like that, and then I'm going to trim with my flush cutters. These are called flush cutters because they're angled on one side, flush on the other. We're going to use the flush side against our work. We always like to remind people about the flush cutters. It makes you not get a super pointy little end. There we go. And I'm going to press my little end down a little bit there. And then I'll show you how this lariat works. You basically take the teardrop bead, feed it down through our little circle, and there you have a beautiful teardrop lariat necklace.